Hello everybody, this is Speaker Freak 95 and I've got all the parts necessary for repairing this JBL 2226H low frequency driver. We're going to do that tonight. It's already 10:05 p.m. I'm going to be staying up late tonight, but it's worth it. This is the driver that we are repairing. Can't get too close to the speaker itself because my camera freaks out on me because it's a Samsung. So here we have the frame. The tape went ahead and removed that. After I did, I vacuumed that out a little bit, you know, just to get rid of the residual dust that might have collected from the backside of the speaker magnet itself while in storage. So right now I want to go ahead and grab this shim. This is just to help make sure the voice coil is centered. Just like that. Get a little bit better view there. Now you want to go ahead and insert the voice coil here. Just want to make sure the lead wires are aligned with the input terminals here. It's a little difficult to figure out how to do this a little bit better. I'll go ahead and get that in there. For some reason I couldn't get the voice coil to fit in there correctly with the shim in one piece like I've seen in other videos, so I had to cut this up. So I'm going to go ahead and insert the voice coil and insert shims, make sure it's centered and at the proper height, and then we'll apply other materials and parts. Now I've got the new voice coil in, the voice coil gap. For some reason I wasn't able to get the shim in there correctly in the whole entire piece, so I have one shim in per piece here, and it's about 1/8 inch higher because these voice coils have a little bit more winding length than the originals. I'm going to go ahead and take the leads and bend them over. And here's the spider, or the lower suspension. I'm going to go ahead and get a good test fit on this thing, just around the voice coil. Try to make sure not to push the voice coil down. It's a little bit of a snug fit, but let's kind of get an idea here. There we go. That's pretty much what you want, but you want to go ahead and double check the height of the voice coil in regards to the magnet itself, resting point, to make sure it's still around 1/8 inch. Now that you got the spider in place, we're going to go ahead and take the new JBL style paper cone, do a little bit of a dry fit here to make sure it's okay. Sometimes these can be a little bit of a tight fit, so just take whatever you can, and I forget what it's called, I think it's an awl or something. Widen that out a little bit if it's needed. A tiny little bit of a gap where you can sort of see the spider, or just a little bit, so you can make sure that the glue soaks down inside here and gets a good bond where the voice coil is on the former and on the spider as well. Next, what you want to do is go ahead and make the two little holes in the cone where the lead wires go for the wire to go through into the voice coil, and I'll go ahead and do that. So it's a little over 1 inch from the edge of the cone itself, and you can see poke two holes for the lead wire to go. Lead wires to go, where the flex lead comes in on the back here, and this thick lead here solders and terminates right here to the flex lead right over here. I'm going to go ahead and make a date on the cone somewhere. It doesn't matter really where, as long as it's not on the front, on the visible part of when this unit was serviced last. Now you want to go ahead and remove the spider of course, and apply glue here on the edge of the frame. Before gluing the spider in place, we'll go ahead and make sure these screws are tight, because they can sometimes loosen up, especially during transit or use of the actual driver itself. Look at that. That is really loose. That is like, I could take that out right now. That is how loose that was the way I found it. And I haven't even touched it before I even took it apart. That's pretty insane how loose those can become. So it's good to make sure that these are tight. Now that we've made sure that those freaking loose screws are tight, Gonna go ahead and apply the glue here. It's pretty simple. It's whatever you want to use. I got this stuff from Simply Speakers, so just apply the glue like this. Apply a decent amount to the edge. I apologize for the noise upstairs. It's a normal thing for people to make a lot of noise, especially when I'm making videos. It's like they want to ruin my videos, especially the audio. When they're walking around upstairs, the uninsulated ceiling goes boom, boom, boom real loud, and it's pretty annoying. But there's nothing that can be done about it. Go ahead and make sure there's a nice even bead around the diameter of the spider landing, where it glues here. Now that's glue, we're going to go ahead and put the spider down. The Voice coil, of course, double check the height of the Voice coil itself, make sure it didn't go down when you're pressing the spider on there, because these are very tight fit. Now that the spider has been glued down, I went ahead and lifted up one part, made sure that the proper height was still within tolerance, so to speak. Take the end of a Sharpie or something. Sorry for the computer over here. Freaking tornado effect with a stupid fan. It's a typical HP Windows 8 machine running hot. But we're just going to go ahead and make sure that the spider is pressed down nicely. Oops, don't do that. Just make sure it's pressed down, has a good bond, and you can probably see here in a few other spots that it's soaking through the spider. That's okay. That's what you want. And you want to make sure this glue sets up for about an hour or two before proceeding to other steps of finishing this recone process. But after this, we're going to go ahead and glue the JBL speaker cone to the spider and voice coil area and the frame. Once again, I do apologize for the people talking and making excessive amounts of noise from upstairs. I do apologize for that. It's just going to have to deal with it. Of course. It never fails. If you ordered the glue pack, you get this 2-part epoxy. And if you watch Simply Speakers video, you can see a bit more information on how to use this. And you can see it's got like a spinning turbine kind of deal. Mixes the two epoxies together. I don't know if you could see that. And this is for gluing the cone to the spider and voice coil. So now that we have this put together, we're going to go ahead and apply it to the voice coil like this. But to save time, I'm going to go ahead and do that, then I'll cut to the part. Due to the magic of video editing, you'll see the glue applied here. It's pretty simple, just like, don't want to get too frisky with this, but be very gentle, just like that. This glue really smells really similar to a skunk. But now we go ahead and you can see really closely I have the glue applied. Wasn't exactly neat about it, but it really doesn't matter. And wow, this stuff smells weird. But gosh, man, it smells like a skunk. I'm not kidding you. But now we're gonna go ahead and just a second. I'm gonna go ahead and apply this adhesive that we used to apply to the spider landing, to the edge of the speaker surround landing or frame edge here. It's pretty simple. Hopefully you can see that. Don't want to use too much like that. Make sure you get good enough gluing around the hole in the frame for the screw to go. Like that right there. Kind of move it around with the nozzle of the glue itself. Just like that. Don't do what I did and lose the freaking nozzle to the glue here. Gotta find it. Now it's time to set the cone in place. Get in behind here. Don't get glue on your fingers. Make sure that the lead wire holes and the basket frame connection and these lead wires at the force coil are aligned properly. And then we press the surround into the glue. Best to use a Sharpie or something so you don't get it all over your finger. That would not be good. Just run around it a whole bunch of times like that. Now that you got the cone in place, we're going to go ahead and do one more final bead of glue here on top of the Volts coil to cone area right here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. But I'm going to, due to the magic of video editing, we'll notice that right now. If you look really closely, you can see right on the edge of the Volts coil, right here, the line of glue is right there. Wow, that's a lot of noise coming from upstairs. So the time you're finished with this two-part epoxy, it comes with an extra tube here, which is useful. I'm sure you can get these online somewhere if you use this one up as well. This one can go ahead and be disposed of. It comes with a little black cap you put on there. You just turn it sideways where the flat parts match this piece here and pull out. And just set that aside for use on another speaker or whatever you need to use two-part epoxy for. I'm going to go ahead and let this, make sure the surround is not lifting back up. In places where you apply a little bit too much, adhesive can lift back up a little bit. Just take your application, that gets warm I noticed. Take this application tube and press the surround down in there a little bit. While that's drying as well, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that cures and dries for about 45 minutes to 60 minutes or longer if you so desire. And then after that we're going to go ahead and we're going to trim these leads down, run some wire in here and glue that up. That'll be next. Go ahead and cut these. Sometimes it's a little tricky. Someone's at the door. And then we'll tin those, and then we'll attach the flex lead coming in. Comes in a little, it depends on where you get it, of course. They may have packaged it differently. If I could talk today, I'm going to go ahead and cut this in 1/2. Just like this. And then you've got leads to solder to and connect the voice coil. For connection, I'm going to go ahead and tin the tips of these wires just like that. Baby upstairs is very unhappy. Unfortunately, I'm going to go ahead and solder these just like this. You may have noticed I already tinned these little tags. Hold it still to get a nice, good solder joint. Plenty more recone videos coming up, by the way. This is the first of Pro Audio series I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and look for this kind of look here. I'm going to go ahead and fish the wire through the speaker cone. Get behind there, feel your way through there. And just like that, right there. That's the look you're after. Next will be, before we attach the foam edge gaskets, we're going to be coating the surround in a polyvinyl material, just to poke the top open with a screw of something, or screw or something, excuse me, can't talk today. And just like that. Because you don't want to, don't drop it like that. You don't want to cut this off like that, because you can cut too low and apply way too much polyvinyl clear coat material and make a mess like I have before. But mistakes are made, people learn, and you know, you're better after that. But I'm going to use this material to coat the surround. Then we'll take, after that dries, we'll take some of this and we'll glue these in place after this polyvinyl material has finished drying. You want to do the same thing with the screw. Poke the tip open with the glue here we're going to use for lead wire and dust cap gluing at the same time. Many speaker manufacturers sell brushes of different kinds. We'll use this one. I don't remember where I got this one. It could have been Simply Speakers. I've ordered speaker parts from all kinds of different places. But we're going to apply this to the fabric surround. Make sure it's evenly as possible. Spread it out real nicely with a brush like this, or just some kind of small bristle brush. Make sure that there's no stray particles or strands coming off. You don't want that to get stuck in there. That'd be terrible. But, you know, you just want a nice, clean, clear finish when you're done. This stuff reminds me of Elmer's glue. That's what it smells like. I doubt that's what it really is. Wow, totally didn't do that right. Just use the tip of the bottle without pressing. Once you're done applying the material, spread it nice and evenly around the edge of the... Yeah, I am recording, okay. Edge of the surround here. Now I'm going to take the brush and spread it around. And it's kind of tedious, and I'm a perfectionist. I try to get things perfectly, so I'm not going to go ahead and record that. Might involve some expletives, but due to the magic video editing, you'll see, but spreading it around real closely will give you the proper result. So I'm not making any sense, but you know what I mean. Of course, we're going to get the inner edge where the cloth edge meets the cone. Just like that. Now you can go here and take your finger and clean up your oopses and make sure it's nice and even. This is strictly for appearance, not performance. Just like that. It might be necessary to go over the edge again, just to make sure you get a nice even coating. Let that sit for 15-20 minutes, then we'll apply the foam gasket on the edge. After you're done with the brush, it might be advisable to save this one. They're nice, pretty decent for this use. I've used this brush several other times before. Just take a little bit of soap and water. This is just for PVA material only. Glue, another story, because it can stick to the bristles a little bit more than the PVA material it is. You can take a little bit of salt, look at me, soap and water, and wash this stuff out, dry it real nicely, and put it back in storage, and you can use it again next time and save just a little bit more, because you don't have to buy a freaking brush. It also may be advisable to test fit the dust cap, find out where the leads go, and cut it out, like this right here, to make sure that it sits nice and flat on the speaker cone, because the leads push the dust cap up a little bit. You don't want a sideways dust cap, that's never good. Of course, it's always advisable to have some Neapolitan ice cream when you're reconing a speaker, just to keep yourself from getting hungry. That's pretty good ice cream. While we're waiting for the PVA or polyvinyl treatment to dry and turn clear before we can apply the, well, I guess we can apply it now, it really doesn't matter. It's all about personal preference and how much time you have. I've got plenty of time, but that's not the case for everyone. We're going to go ahead and solder the leads back here, and I'll give it good from right here. The camera will be right here, facing right there. And there we are. Go ahead and get the leads in position. This camera's really struggling to get that properly. Due to the help of video editing, we now have a light and we can see. And the soldering iron is already warmed up. It's kind of hard to get that through there. Might have to make the hole a little bit wider for this new high-power tensile lead. Got it through there. Allow a little bit of excess to get on there, just like that. It might be advisable to keep the excess that you take off. Gonna bend this down. Don't want to bend it too much. And it's kind of difficult to get this through there. I didn't really have to widen the hole up. I just had to figure out a way to get the lead into the cone. So let me go ahead or through the connection terminal plate. Actually have to spin it a little bit. It's kind of difficult to see that. You want to get the tensile lead in the proper position, just like that, and we'll solder it just like the other one. Let's not do that. Let's redo that again. Sorry. Should have waited a little bit longer. And that's the reason you wait for it to dry first. I forgot about that. Once again, save the extra. And now the tensile leads have been soldered on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and apply the glue to the edge of the frame on the surround landing here for the foam gasket. What the foam gasket is for, in case the unit is mounted behind the baffle, face front, mounted from the rear. Hope you can see that. I can't look up yet. Just a continuous bead. It's also advisable to, whenever the unit is dry completely, to take where the mounting holes are and bust through the surround so you don't have a problem in twisting the surround up and ripping it off its landing. Cutting a hole in the surround. Also, if I thought about it, I could grab my hole punch and punched a hole in the surround where each screw goes down into inside the frame. And there you have it. The edge is on there, and you could take a 15-inch woofer frame and set it on there, or turn the woofer upside down, and let it rest and make sure this gets tacky and sticks really well. But this glue works really quickly, so just a bare speaker frame would work like this. Temporarily place down the dust cap. Just like that. This is an RCF, a future recone video, by the way. And now you can see why there's little cutouts there. If you see where the tinsel leads are entering the speaker cone itself, it helps the dust cap sit lower. It's sitting up because of the shims, and we're starting to dry real well. So we're getting ready to glue the dust cap down and the tinsel leads, and wait a little while and hook up a CS1200 or something as a good amplifier and do some tests. Watching some YouTube videos to bide the time here. Also, while I'm waiting for this unit to dry, there's little white spots where the paint's missing from the sticker, and they're all about to disappear. And there we go, and that was all done with a fine point Sharpie, just because I can. I went ahead and removed the shims. Nothing's rubbing, we're all good on that part. This is almost too much fun. So now that it's done on that aspect of things, I went ahead and put a date on the inside of the dust cap. You can't see it, but who cares? I'm going to go ahead and set the dust cap down on here. We're going to find a good weight to set on here, and then we'll apply the bead of this black glue here. We already poked the top in the hole, or poked the hole in the top. Let me figure out how to talk right here, and so we can apply the glue properly and do the leads as well at the same time. Something kind of fun you can do if the tinsel leads are like mine are. Take a 9-volt battery, make a little bit of noise, just to have fun. And you can turn it the other way and really annoy people. And it's simply creating a mechanical oscillation where it's connecting and disconnecting, connecting, disconnecting. And that way we know the voice coil is good, and it moves pretty long ways on 9 volts, which is cool. If you look really closely, this is the look we're after here, to make sure the dust cap doesn't, so it sits flat like this one. Here's one that's not been done that way. And you see we have a nice big fat gap there. It's not acceptable. But this is certainly acceptable here. So we're going to go ahead and glue that there. Zoom fail. Didn't mean to do that. I'm going to go ahead and glue the dust cap down, but that's a slow and tedious process, at least for me it is, so it'll be glued right now. Partway there. That's the appearance you're after. Now I'm going to go ahead and position this live here. Hands-eye coordination. Hands-eye coordination is not working here, especially when you're looking through the camera's viewfinder. And get the glue prepared for the tinsel lead. Dress those up nicely. Want to make it look nice. Pretty much what you're after right there. Fix this one a little bit. Did kind of a half-ass job on that one, but it's okay. Then you can take a tip of a screwdriver or a screw, kind of direct the glue, kind of draw the glue line out a little bit. Kind of hope I'm not in the way. Yeah, I can see everyone now. Straighten it up a little bit. Bring it out just like that. Straighten this one up too. You can also apply a little bit more glue. This stuff's hardening real already. Just like that. She's perfect. Hell yeah. The dust cap's a little off center, but it's alright. it's not too noticeable. At least it's not like on the side of the cone or anything like that. And that's the appearance that you're looking for. And let this dry a little bit, just to make sure that's nice and dry. It's like a busted HTC One X that still works just fine, but busted screen. Use that as a weight, just for craps and giggles. And that is part two of part 2 of 3 for this recone series. Part 3 is the testing. Thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful to some degree. And plenty of more recone videos to come. I really appreciate all my loyal YouTube viewers who watch my videos, and yeah, thank you very much for watching. Entered. Just like that. Get a little bit better view there. Now you want to go ahead and insert the voice coil here. Just want to make sure the lead wires are aligned with the input terminals here. It's a little difficult to figure out how to do this a little bit better. Go ahead and get that in there. For some reason I couldn't get the voice coil to fit in there correctly with the shim in one piece like I've seen in other videos, so I had to cut this up. So I'm going to go ahead and insert the voice coil and insert shims, make sure it's centered and at the proper height, and then we'll apply other materials and parts. Now I've got the new voice coil in the Vogue. Make the two little holes in the cone where the lead wires go for the wire to go through into the voice coil, and I'll go ahead and do that. So it's a little over an inch from the edge of the cone itself, and you can see poke two holes for the lead wires to go, where the flex lead comes in on the back here, and this thick lead here solders and terminates right here to the flex lead right over here. I'm going to go ahead and make a date on the cone somewhere. It doesn't matter really where, as long as it's not on the front, on the visible part of when this unit was serviced last. Now you want to go ahead and remove the spider, of course, and apply glue here on the edge of the frame. Before gluing the spider in place, we'll go ahead and make sure these screws are tight, because they can sometimes loosen up, especially during transit or use of the actual driver itself. That's pretty much what you want, but you want to go ahead and double check the height of the voice coil in regards to the magnet itself, resting point, to make sure it's still around 1/8 of an inch. Now that you got the spider in place, we're going to go ahead and take the new JBL style paper cone, do a little bit of a dry fit here to make sure it's okay. Sometimes these can be a little bit of a tight fit, so just take whatever you can, and I forget what it's called. I think it's an awl or something. Widen that out a little bit if it's needed. A tiny little bit of a gap where you can sort of see the spider, or just a little bit, so you can make sure that the glue soaks down inside here and gets a good bond where the voice coil is on the former and on the spider as well. Next, what you want to do is go ahead and poke. Hello everybody, this is Speaker Freak 95, and I've got all the parts necessary for repairing this JBL 2226H low frequency driver. We're going to do that tonight. It's already 10:05 p.m. I'm going to be staying up late tonight, but it's worth it. This is the driver that we are repairing. Can't get too close to the speaker itself because my camera freaks out on me because it's a Samsung. So here we have the frame. The tape went ahead and removed that. After I did, I vacuumed it out a little bit, just to get rid of the residual dust that might have collected from the backside of the speaker magnet itself while in storage. So right now I want to go ahead and grab this shim. This is just to help make sure the voice coil gap. For some reason I wasn't able to get the shim in there correctly in the whole entire piece, so I have one shim in per piece here, and it's about 1/8 inch higher because these voice coils have a little bit more winding length than the originals. I'm going to go ahead and take the leads and bend them over. And here's the spider, or the lower suspension. I'm going to go ahead and get a good test fit on this thing. Just around the Vols coil. Trying to make sure not to push the Vols coil down. It's a little bit of a snug fit, but let's kind of get an idea here. There we go.